From the front porch of the Berger residence, welcome to another episode of the Summer of 2020, brought to you by Film Crew Productions. Just a few headlines that have taken over or have happened during this past week. For the second time this year, Governor DeWine ordered Lorain County back on the red coronavirus status. Last Thursday, another 1.1 million people filed for first-time unemployment claims in the United States. For the last 22 weeks, we now have 57.4 million people that are now unemployed. And we have some good news. An update from last week where we interviewed Jenna Calfo. It was just announced that Jenna Calfo became the queen of the Lorain County Junior Fair. So congratulations to Jenna Calfo. The summer of 2020 is going on, and it starts now. We're very happy this evening to finally have a promised young man come in and talk to us. We've been promising for weeks to have John Bowman, the athletic director of not only Wellington High School, but of the Wellington School District, come in and talk to us about all of the things that are going on within high school sports this fall. John, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I think the first question's obviously got to be, per the governor's guidelines, what teams are all now cleared to play this fall?
All fall sports. So all 7 of them: golf, girls soccer, boys soccer, football, cross country, and
volleyball. Absolutely. So there's no, as per the guidelines, there's nothing saying that all of our fall sports will be able to go on, at least until something changes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I know that, in fact, it's probably common knowledge, football-wise, that all of the schedules had to be changed, whereas we used to have 10 football games. Now we're only going to have 6 football games. It's all going to be in the county. How has the scheduling actually changed for all of the sports?
Football was the one that was hit the most. The rest of the sports have lost a game here and there. But football was rearranged. Instead of a 10-game schedule, it's scheduled for a 6-game schedule to be followed by playoffs. From there, who knows what will happen. If you continue to win playoff games, you'll keep playing. You also have the option that if you are eliminated from the playoffs, you can pick up games. So I anticipate playing a 10-game schedule if we make it through the season.
And playoffs have changed. Talk about how that's actually changed itself. Because we only missed playoffs by what, 0.35 percentage points last year going into the playoffs? Yeah. Not true this year.
No, now everybody makes the playoffs. Anybody that opts into the playoffs makes it. So, before you used to have an 8-team region. Now you're looking at, I think our region is made up of 26 or 28 teams, so you're adding essentially another 2 rounds to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's going to help, assuming everything goes through? Is it going to help the teams? Is it going to hurt the teams? How is it going to impact Wellington High School?
It'll be interesting how it works out. The good news is we'll get to go to the playoffs, so that's exciting. It hasn't happened since 2011, but I think it'll be an interesting factor when you're talking about now teams, instead of having to win 4 games to win a region, now you're going to have to win 6 games. And so maybe a tougher team, again, they're forced to play another game. Do they lose it? Because anything could happen on a Friday night. We're talking kids and close competition. Anything could happen.
Now, we know that there's only 6 games. We know that there are 8 teams in the conference. So there's 1 team we're not going to play. Talk about the teams that we're going to be going up against in football only.
Yeah, we lost Firelands. But again, depending on how the season plays out, I hope to put them back on a schedule in the weeks at the end of the year. Again, that all comes down to what happens in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But so we'll play the other 7 or the other 6 teams in our conference. We start off the year with Black River. It's different feel this year playing a conference team week 1. I like the feeling though, and especially Black River. That's a good one to start off with. Good rivalry.
Certainly, I was going to say one of our big rivals.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game. It's at home. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. The other teams that we're going to be playing at home.
Let's see if I do this off the top of my head here. We have
We're going to have Clearview.
Keystone and Clearview.
Clearview, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And in fact, the two rival teams that we have are going to be right at opposite ends of the schedule.
Yeah.
So that should be a very interesting situation.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we know that because Governor DeWine, I hate to say he delayed, but there was a time period in which it was questionable how much practice could take place with all of the teams, with the exception of golf. How did practice actually change, especially after the new guidelines came in?
Yeah. There's just things that we have to be cautious about, and that's our social distancing, our wearing our masks, no shared water. That's kind of a big one. Before, it was the stuff that you took for granted every day. Hey, kids, break time, go get a water. Now that is a little bit more of a chore. You're spreading the kids out, and you constantly got to stay on the kids. But really, once we put those protocols into place, the kids enjoyed it and never complained about it. The coaches are on them. I think that we're doing pretty good at keeping track of all that stuff, and it really hasn't hindered practices as well. I think coaches would say that they're getting stuff accomplished.
Now, we know that we already talked about the fact that they have to bring their own water. They also have a protocol that they have to actually meet prior to them actually going out on the practice field. Explain that.
Yeah. Basically, it's at the start of every practice. Again, student must show up with water bottle and a mask, wearing their mask. From there, a coach will greet them, take their temperature. That's just basic procedure every time. I mean, every student that comes in there is getting their temperature taken. Then there's a questionnaire, about 12 questions. We got that directly from the Cleveland Clinic, and it's signs and symptoms of COVID. All those answers have to be answered before they can come into the facility.
And I believe that, as you said, they all come from the Cleveland Clinic.
Yeah.
I believe you can look on wellingtonathletics.org, and if you're really interested in seeing what those 12 questions are, you can actually go online to wellingtonathletics.org, and you can see what questions each one of the athletes in all of the sports have to answer before they can actually go out and practice.
And expectations for students have been posted, and for parents to see and remember.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, I would be remiss if we didn't actually talk about the outlook for all of the teams this fall, especially in this era of coronavirus. If you could take all the sports and go through each one by one, kind of give an outlook.
Okay. So boys soccer got a new coach this year. Shout out to Will Paps in his first year. He's a graduate of 2011. He did a good job getting kids out. So they're going to have a team. I mean, we struggled last year, but got a schedule that we're looking forward to. They will play Wednesday. That's actually the first game of the season for all of us. Well, golf has been at it, but our first hosted game.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to see what they can accomplish. The girls soccer team, again, reigning champs. They lost a good senior group, but they replaced them with a great freshman group, and bringing back a sophomore, now junior and senior group that have been around for a while and played for 4 years. They're tough. So I think Coach Jason Gundert has them fired up and ready to go. They will play Thursday. So they got high expectations this year. The volleyball team, John Fell doing a good job all off season with them. They really dedicated themselves in the weight room. I'm looking forward to see what they could do. They were about middle of the pack last year. Pack meaning of the league.
Right.
The old pack.
The old pack.
Yeah. But though I'm excited for them. There's a couple girls that really put in some good effort this summer that I'm thinking, I want to see how it relays to the volleyball court. Golf brings back a strong group. Coach Geyer is excited to have Will Palmason with us. Made it to state last year. So, we're young. Other than that, well, we have Wyatt Saystack. He's going to be our number 2. And he was a solid player last year. He's looking into that leadership role. But other than that, it'll be some younger guys, some newer faces that coach is looking forward to see how they progress. So they've been at it since August. Mid-August or beginning of August, and so golf is almost halfway through their season.
Yeah, exactly.
But still interested to see how the playoffs and the tournaments play out for them.
Right. Cross
country had their first meet today.
Oh, how'd they do?
I haven't heard yet.
Oh, okay.
But it was the icebreaker event that's held in LaGrange, and Coach Hook did a good job recruiting. They had more kids out, so he's excited about that. Again, didn't hear what they did. They're still young, just one senior on the team. So, but he's got a core group of younger runners that he had last year that are back, and I think he's looking forward to see how they progress. As most of them are only in their sophomore season.
Are you able to talk about cheerleaders?
Cheerleaders, yeah, they got a good group of girls out. They have, I think, 10 varsity girls and then another 11 JV girls.
Really?
So they're excited that football now has that JV team, and we know we're going to have a JV team all the time. So that increases their numbers, which is good for them. They have a good leader at their varsity level, Coach Catherine and Coach Whitney. I think they're excited. They're also doing the junior high this year, so they have the whole program under their wing. I think they're excited for that.
And finally, great transition right into football. How is the football team going to look?
Football team, I've been excited with numbers. I got 40. He's in the mid 40s with kids this year, and that's great because we've progressed from about, I think, at one point we had 18 and 25. He had 36 last year. Now he's at that 45 range, and I think that's a testament how Coach Howell's recruits and what the kids think of him. So I'm excited for that. We lost a lot of key players last year, but there's kids ready to fill those voids. And again, it's a group that's been experienced. For years we've been saying how young we are. And this is the first year we're saying we're experienced, So a heavy senior, junior class that are going to lead the way for us.
Exactly. Well, we're talking with John Bowman. He's the athletic director at Wellington High School and also throughout the entire Wellington School District, for that matter. One of the things that we have to talk about, of course, social distancing is very much in the news. How is social distancing actually accomplished on the sidelines where the athletes who are not specifically, easy for me to say, specifically playing, how are they actually doing social distancing on the sidelines? And we can talk specifically about football itself.
Yeah. It's pretty simple. I thought the easiest way to do it was just spray a spot on the sideline for the kids. And so when they're on the sidelines, they know to put their mask on, get to their spot, their water is there, and that's where they stand if they're not in the game. This is also the case for any of the sports, really. They go to the sidelines, they got to spread apart, they're in a mask. Even our volleyball players, if they're on the bench, they're going to be wearing a mask this year. So, again, the kids have adapted well to this. More than anything, the kids realize they got to do these things to stay safe and play. So I think that's an easy sell for them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, today it was announced on the local news that both Strongsville High School, their football team, had one positive case of the coronavirus, and they have canceled the practices for the football team through Thursday. And Mayfield High School, they had 3 volleyball players test positive, and they have actually suspended all practice indefinitely. So, John, I know the idea of testing has gone back and forth. If you could just say a word about testing itself.
That was something that was removed from the requirements by the government. So initially, when we first heard the reports, there was students were going to have to be tested 72 hours before a competition with another school. Governor DeWine's latest briefing removed that.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be no required testing before any competition.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, obviously there are still many things that need to be ironed out, and they probably won't even get ironed out before the first soccer games or the first football games or anything like that, because nobody actually has a specific guideline set up, either from the governor down through the superintendent through the schools themselves. So a very fluid situation. I think you'd have to agree with me with that.
Oh yeah, and it's a unique situation,
Yes,
but
it
I
is.
think we're adapting to it as it comes. And things are going to change, and we're going to add things, we're going to subtract things. We might, we're all learning this on the fly. It's the bottom line. And so, we meet as ADs pretty much daily, in contact with the superintendents and principals as well. The local health department, my trainer Scott Bryan is keeping an eye on me. I mean, we're all in this together, and honestly, I'm excited with how we've adapted to this, and I look forward to finishing this season, hopefully.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, once again, we would like to thank John Bowman for coming and giving us an idea of what actually is going to take place this fall, we hope, with all the different guidelines that have been set up, everything from practices to the games themselves, and how they're actually going to continue on, we hope, through the entire season. So once again, John, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about, as best you can, figuring out what's actually going to happen this fall. We'd also like to thank Dottie Cianciola, my field reporter, and Mr. Dave Conklin, the technical advisor of the show, because without those two people, this show would not be able to take place. This has been the summer of 2020.